So here we are. Right over there is the entrance to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and here is the first Protestant church in Jerusalem. It is the Lutheran Church of the Redeemer. Used to be, in Crusader times, site of a hospital run by the Church of the Crusaders. I think I'm allowed to just go in. Sometimes churches here are pay to enter, but Christians felt really hard to get rid of that. Okay. Talk very quietly and while I'm in here. Okay, it is free to enter. I think it's go to the roof. It's ticket required. There are a lot of good views in Jerusalem, but I just want to see inside here. So this church was dedicated on October 31st, Protestant Reformation Day, in the presence of the Kaiser of Germany. So why am I in a Protestant church that is historically Protestant? This is not a Catholic place of worship, period. It is not the site of a major Catholic event at all. There's a Crusader hospital here on one point, but it's a hospital, not a huge deal. It's a great historic site. Got to look around and take a look. But there was a debate back home. Stevens is closed, but was apparent during initial archaeological excavations when the becomes church under the nave was once believed it's found the city wall from the time of the Great in the controversy over whether or not Golgotha was located in the area that the church of the Holy Sepulchre appeared to be confirmed that the later church was located outside the city walls at the time of Jesus. So this is actually one of the places here. Actually, I said corrected. This place was confirmed that that the Holy Sepulchre was, as per the biblical account, outside the city walls at the time of Jesus. So I think we're allowed to go in here, see the city walls. So it says ticket required. Good to know for another time. But I thought I'd ask why come here. There is a debate among traditional Catholics about a practice that has taken root that my own community back home does, is whether or not it is okay for us to book non-Catholic venues of worship for our traditional night masses, because we often don't have access. We often don't have access to our own churches. So what do? We book Protestant churches like this. Is that allowed? I know recently there's a big kerfuffle where someone from a Protestant church we were booking got onto our email list and started lecturing us in our group emails about why the Pope was not infallible, why Catholicism was wrong, we should just be all Anglo-Catholic, go to the Anglo-Catholic Mass. Local Sedevacantist bishop vehemently condemned the SSPX for booking these places for Mass, and he said this is why, and he started lecturing everyone for how daring go and saying that they were being unfaithful Catholics for attending Mass, SSPX Masses, that they were booked at Protestant churches. So who is right in all this? Strictly speaking, that Sedevacantist bishop is technically correct. Under the normal code of canon law, it is forbidden to celebrate Mass in non-Catholic churches, even if at one point they were Catholic places of worship, because it would give great scandal. It would be like us booking a Buddhist temple. Like, why would I? It flirts with syncretism. And the exam, he is correct. He was very obnoxious about pointing it out, how I went about it. I sent an email saying it was not okay, but he is basically correct. Catholics should not be booking, ideally, non-Catholic places of worship as venues, no matter how nice they are. Now, and that is what the traditional pre-Vatican II Code of Canon Law does say. Now, this has been practice going on, and in fact, even if you watch the What We Have Lost movie, which is a traditional Catholic classic, it talks about, matter of factly, that SSPX does this practice. Here's the Lutheran baptismal font. I think Lutheran theology is close enough on baptism that to Catholic view in baptism that their baptisms are considered valid, if I recall correctly. Anyway, we as Catholics should not be booking non-Catholic venues for worship. The bishop was correct, and for the exact reason that he stated, like, the faith comes first, and if come an occasion of sin where a Lutheran is hijacking. You have to keep silent, or you're going to lose your church venue, as he lectures you on why you should become non-Catholic. Like, yeah, he's correct, and it puts us in difficult situations. Now, I will say this: I have seen even the said bishop, or previously, celebrate weddings at non-Catholic venues that were ecumenical chapels, funerals as well. Now, I'm not saying the bishop is a total hypocrite, but it does point out there is more nuance to the situation. Sometimes, especially in us days as traditional Catholics, communities can be quite poor. We often do not have a lot of money. And it's either we book a venue to have Mass in this location so we can evangelize, so we can have a traditional Catholic community here, even though it's not ideal, or we go without the sacraments entirely. So in that case, you do not break divine law to keep canon law. So if your traditional Catholic community is booking a Protestant venue to have Mass, because that's what they can afford and that's the most reverent vocation they can, under the circumstances, it's okay, even though it's not strictly according to canon law. That said, Jesus Christ himself said not to be so concerned with the dots and tails of canon law that you forget charity and mercy and neglect the weightier matters of the law. Getting to Mass, making sure there's a Catholic presence is more important. That being said, and that there is precedent for this. I know in my own area, back when before the Catholic Church at all was settled, Catholic priests would celebrate Mass at Methodist churches. That's in the history of my church back home. I don't just, I mean in Nova Scotia, when there were no other venues to book, celebrate Mass. And that's what had to be done. Even here in Jerusalem, the Dome of the Ascension is currently a mosque, technically, even though it was once a Crusader church. Christians still go there to pray, and there's still organized pilgrimages that have been going on, to my understanding, well before the council. Because otherwise you would not be able to commemorate the ascension of Jesus Christ at all. And so it would be the lesser of two evils. If you want to be really strict about it, you could not make the Stations of the Cross along the Via Dolorosa, because you would have to pray and do the indulgence work inside of Eastern Orthodox churches, in part. It's more important that you can make the stations, obviously. That being said, I will have to say this. It is not an ideal situation. We as traditional Catholics, if your community is reliant upon booking a Protestant church, it's a great place, it's a reverent place. But if that's the situation, you should be focusing on making sure your community is growing, that it is growing in wealth, growing in numbers constantly, so that you outgrow that venue and can book and it warrants, and you can afford booking someplace else that is your own, that you either rent or own. That is something that, if your community is in that position, it should be acknowledged that that is not an ideal situation to be working to get out of it. So, those are my thoughts coming to the Lutheran Church of the Redeemer. Should we as SSPXers be booking places like this as venues for traditional Catholic worship? Even though there are places of worship, I would say no. I would say no for the exact same reason. It compromises us just to an extent. It does violate canon law, pre-Vatican II, and it can be occasion of sin to make us feel we have to keep our mouths shut about the true faith in order to have a place to worship at all. Many of us do not have an option. It's either book it here. It's either book it here, or it's either go to Mass here and have them book a place that is a Protestant house of worship, or go without the sacraments entirely for some people. And in that situation, it is better to book the Protestant venue. We live in complex times. It is what it is. Everywhere is mission territory. Again, we should work to keep the old codes of canon law, which actually technically would forbid even saying Mass in private houses, but it's either book say in private houses or go without the traditional sacraments. Do in charity. If you criticize the practice, I agree with you. once had to protest against getting received in the Catholic Church while inside of a Baptist church that was supposed to be held in a Baptist church because they were going to hold Easter Vigil in a Baptist church, but it was technically Novus Ordo. It was not great. I agree. But like when there is genuine necessity, I don't think you should come down hard on it. Anyway, those are my thoughts. God bless. If you ever get a real chance in real life, please check on SSPX Church someday. God bless. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for sinners now at the hour of our death. Amen.